Some of y'all don't miss the life. You miss who you are in it. And there's a difference. You don't miss looking over your shoulder. You don't miss the consequences. You don't miss the chaos, the losses, the bullshit that came with it. But you do miss being somebody in the world that you understood. Because over there, everybody knew your name. You knew who to call. You knew how to make something shake. You were the go-to. People came to you for the answers. You had rank, reputation, relationships, resources. You had spent years becoming somebody in that environment. And then you decide that you want a better life. You want better for yourself. And better got the audacity to make you a beginner. And now the go-to guy got to ask somebody, bro, how you do this? And that shit will fuck with your ego, because transition will take a man who was the mentor in one world and make him the mentee in another. You went from the top of one ladder to the bottom of a better one. And if you don't understand what's happening psychologically, you will climb right back down just so you can feel tall again. And that's why some people sabotage perfectly good opportunities. It ain't always because they miss destruction. Sometimes they miss competence. They miss knowing how to win. They miss walking into a room and already knowing the rules. And fellas, this shit gets even deeper when your identity was attached to being the provider, because maybe in your old life, money came different. And your girl didn't have to work, and your kids needed something, it was handled. Bills handled. Christmas handled. Everybody ate because you ate, and whether you realized it or not, that shit stroked your ego. And not necessarily in a bad way either. Providing gave you purpose and made you feel useful, powerful, necessary. You could look around at your family and say, yeah, I did that. So imagine what happens psychologically when you decide to change your life and suddenly that money ain't coming like it used to anymore. Now your girl might have to work. You might have to tell the kids not right now. And you're calculating shit that you used to just pay for, looking at a bill like, damn, this little motherfucker do again. And now you're struggling, legitimately struggling, trying to build something legal, sustainable, stable. And you start thinking, man, I know how to get some money real quick. And that is the dangerous part of transition that nobody talks about, because your old life starts advertising itself to you through selective memory. And it shows you the money, but conveniently leaves out the price. And it reminds you how powerful you felt, but not how vulnerable you actually were. Starting over can feel like failure when you were somebody where you came from, but being at the bottom of something better is not the same as being beneath somebody. Sometimes that's the entry fee, and you got to be willing to temporarily lose status, permanently change your to permanently change your station. You got to let somebody teach you. You got to let somebody correct you. Ask questions you think you should already know. Take the smaller check. Build the resume. Learn the business. Get the certification. Develop a completely different set of survival skills, because you're not actually starting from zero. You're starting from experience that just needs to be translated. That loyalty, discipline, negotiation, network, and problem solving. Baby, we just got to get them skills, some new employment, because rehabilitation ain't erasing who you were. It's teaching those same qualities how to work where they don't have to destroy you to reward you. And yeah, for a minute, you might not be everybody's go-to. You might not be the man everybody calls. You might not have the biggest bag. You might not be able to carry everybody while you're rebuilding yourself. Your family may have to adjust with you. Your ego definitely gonna have to adjust with you, but understand something. Struggling while constructing is different from struggling while self-destructing. And one struggle keeps resetting your life while the other one is building it. So nah, you probably don't miss the life as much as you think that you do. You miss being somebody in it. And the hardest part about becoming somebody new is surviving that little stretch where you don't recognize yourself yet, where you went from the expert to apprentice, from breadwinner to builder, from having all the answers to finally being humble enough to ask the right questions. Don't run back to an old identity just because your new one hasn't learned your name yet. You ain't fall off. You just stepped off the top floor of a burning building, a building that was already burning, and started at the first floor of one that you can actually own. So build. If you're in that uncomfortable space between who you had to be and who you're now becoming, that's where the real work starts. Emotional alchemy is about learning how to stop running back to old identities just because they're familiar. So if you're ready to rebuild without losing yourself in the process, comment, build, and come talk to me.